Okay, so today we're going to practice graphing quantity demanded and demand. Keep in mind, quantity demanded, graphing quantity demanded is only done when there's a change in price of the good or service itself in the present tense. Yes, there are other changes in prices here, but these are changes in price of related goods or expectation of a future price change. The only time we do the graphing of quantity demanded, and if you forget what that is, it looks like this. It's got a curve and it's got dotted lines, and there's a P1 and Q1, etc., to show a change in quantity demanded. Everything else is going to be shifts in demand, like D1 and D2. So you're going to try and figure out which one of these examples is doing this thing. The rest of them will be doing something like this. All right, so look for that one that's just a change in price of the good or service itself in the present tense. Generally, that's the one that people tend to miss on the quiz because they're not expecting that one. So hopefully you will not be one of those people. All right, so let's look at the first scenario here. We have what happens to the market for black shoes. Okay, so right away we know we're going to be graphing something to do with black shoes. So go ahead and put that in this box to title your graph. And you could go ahead while you're at it, give yourself the place to do your graph, your P, your Q, and your starting demand curve. We're going to be doing something with it. We'll come back to that later. Okay, so now, if everyone starts, what will happen to the market for black shoes if everyone starts to follow a new fashion trend of dressing in white from head to toe? Okay, so first of all, let's figure out, is the price of black shoes changing right this moment? If not, then we know we're not doing this. Okay, so then if that's not what's happening, we're going to have to look at our determinants of demand. Which determinant of demand is at play here? Okay, this is a change in consumer preference for a good. And what is happening to that change in consumer preference for a good. So what is happening to consumer preference? Is it increasing or decreasing for black shoes? Oops, sorry. Decrease in consumer preference for black shoes because everybody's wearing white. Sorry about that. Okay, decrease in consumer preference. So if consumer preferences is decreasing, now if you can't logically figure this out, then look at your cheat sheet. What does it say will happen to demand in this case? Will it go up or down? Demand will decrease for black shoes because people prefer white shoes now. And then, so what happened? We just describe what you see here. Demand for black shoes decreased. Okay, all of these things are worth points on the quiz and on the tests. So it's important that you get in the habit of being thorough. You say the item, you say what happened to demand. You can't just say it changed. You have to say whether it decreased or increased. All of these things are all worth points. Okay, so be very careful to be thorough in your answers. Okay, next scenario. What happens to the market for diapers? Okay, right away we know this is about diapers, so let's put this in here. If there's a 50% rise in the birth rate in the U.S., okay, again, let's check. Is this a change in the price of diapers right now? Okay, so in that case, again, we've got to look at our determinants of demand. Which of these determinant of demand best fits this scenario of diapers? So this has to do with a change in number of consumers. All of a sudden we have a lot more people being born, so there's a lot more parents. So we have a Increase. So what's happening to the number of consumers? Is it increasing or decreasing? Diapers. Okay, so if we have an increased number of consumers for diapers, now if you can't figure this out in terms of the demand curve, then take a look at your cheat sheet to see what you do in this instance. Okay. What's happened to demand? Has it increased or decreased? Demand for diapers has increased. So that means we're going to put the demand curve to the right of the first demand curve. All right, next one. What happens to the market for pool installation? All right away, we put the title here because we'll lose points if we don't. Pool installation. If taxes are cut significantly in our area, okay, has the price of pool installation changed right now in the present? No, it has not. So that means we're not graphing quantity demanded. We've got to go back to these determinants of demand. Look at your pool installation scenario and figure out which of these determinants of demand is related to that. Okay. Change in consumer income. Now here's the other tricky bit we've got to figure out. If it's a change in consumer income, we've got to figure out whether the item, in this case pool installation, is a normal good or an inferior good. So which is it? Pool installation is a normal good. So down here, what's happening to consumer income when taxes are cut? Consumer income has increased. Now, because this has to do with normal goods versus inferior goods, I'm going to have to add a little bit more here. Which is affecting a normal good. You'll lose points if you don't identify whether a normal good is in the question or an inferior good when it comes to consumer income. Okay, and so then what would that do to the demand for pool installation if all of a sudden this normal good, people have more money? Demand for pool installation increase. All right, and so do we see a shift to the right or to the left here? See a shift to the right. Okay. Next scenario. What happens to the market for chicken? Okay, so go ahead and write chicken as the title of your demand curve. Let me get ahead here. The demand curve. Okay, what happens to the market for chicken if chicken prices rise? All right, so are we seeing the price of chicken go up or down? Okay, so are we going to be graphing demand or quantity demanded? A change in quantity demanded or a change in one of the determinants of demand? We have found our instance of a change in quantity demanded. So we have a price. Let's start with our price, a P1, because that's what's happening. Chicken prices are rising. So here's our P1, dot, 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 dot. We'll take it over to demand. What do we put over on this side? P1, all right. and chicken prices are rising, so we're going to put P2. We're going to put P2 above P1 or P2 below P1. Then bring the vertical line down here and label it what? Okay, so what has just happened here? Take a look at well, first of all, we can describe what happened. What happened? The price rose. So, price increased. That's easy enough. And what did that do to quantity demanded? Did quantity demand decrease or increase here? Quantity of chickens demanded decreased. As prices go up, quantity demanded decreases. Okay, now to the back side. Remember, from here on out, because I told you, you only have one of these special ones, you're not going to have any more graphs like this. The rest of the graphs are going to be something like this. So, you do the rest of them on the back here, and then come and check the key to see how well you did. Your teacher will have it.